your call. It is your game. It is your creation.
Oh my God, you're so indubious.
You have to have an optimal theory for playing the game.
Whatever you focus upon becomes your truth.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
What up, G?
This is the Living Indubiously Podcast.
True.
And this is a special edition.
Yes, it is.
Is it an addition or an addition? Or is it the same? Is it the
I
same
think it's
word?
the same, bro.
It's the same
Yeah,
word.
it's the same thing.
Addition?
No, addition is
Addition.
with an E. Yep.
Yep. Well, it's a special addition of this edition is that it's actually less is more is the addition. It's not adding, we're subtracting, which is adding the energy of the clarity through which the source flows through these brothers is going to come through in this episode as a brothers episode. Of the
Amen, brother.
podcast.
Holy Spirit.
I can hear the wind gusting outside.
It turned into fall real quick, didn't it? It was like,
It was crazy.
It was like, hey, it's fall. Yes, it
It was
is.
like, this is the last day of summer. And it was like, okay, no, that was the last day of summer.
That's what's up. I like fall.
But it's supposed to get a little warm here. But also, what's happened is it rained a little bit, and then the air is really clear. And we're
That's a
at
joy.
the tail end of, for all you people out there that are not West Coasters or Oregonians, we're at the tail end of some crazy fires, really bad wildfires, like took out houses, like thousands and thousands of homes in Oregon. I have a bunch of friends who lost their houses.
Yeah, it's a heavy time for some. And, my heart goes out to those people, bro. It's an intense thing.
Do you think that it's all part of the divine plan, or do you think it's
the more and more that I
tragedy?
learn for myself, the more and more I start to see a grand perfection in everything.
Mm-hmm.
Good and bad sort of don't have the same connotation for me anymore in my life. It's hard to say. It's hard to feel like a compassionate human being for a lot of people when they go like, oh well, somebody's house burned down. Well, that's going to be a good thing for you.
Yeah.
So, I don't
that's going
pretend
to be great for you. Congratulations. But
I don't pretend that it's like that's an easy thing or that it's not intense
Yeah.
for people. But as I start to learn more about myself, I realize like the deepest wounds, the deepest traumas, all those things have catalyzed and fueled my inevitable rise. And
never. I know that's how you feel about it, which is why I asked, because I think it's an interesting topic, because everyone's like, when something quote unquote bad happens to me, people go, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. What can I do? It's just that energy for me, I don't resonate with it, because I don't need people to feel sorry for me, because everything in my life is always working out for me. If one thing burns down in my life, another is being built up, and one door closes, many open. But it's an interesting line to walk in a world where we're under the watchful eyes of others, and sometimes can be seen as being non-compassionate.
yeah, and for myself, I notice two things when something like that happens. Two things happen for me. One is that if somebody says, oh, I'm so sorry for some tragedy or something that went on in my life, I notice that I don't view it that way. And the other thing is that I'm thankful and grateful that their heart is reaching out, because I think most of all, people want to offer some sort of condolences, not because they feel terrible for you, but because they want you to feel better.
Yeah.
And so to be able to accept that fully and graciously is kind of been good for me too. Because, I don't think anybody ever really, we don't really change the way that we interact with human beings, because we that's a natural sort of order of nature.
Yeah.
It's like, when something bad happens to you, I'm going to say, man, here for you, bro.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it's a terrible thing either.
Yeah, I feel that for sure. It's comes from a good place. I guess it's the pity part that feels strange sometimes. And I think that the most helpful thing we can offer others is our energy and our knowing. We can say all kinds of words like "I'm here for you," whatever that means. It's kind of it just feels like small. It's like small talk to me. It's like, how's the weather? The truth is that if my friend's house burns down, I'm holding in my vibration the reality that everything is working out for them, whether they see that or not.
Yep.
And that it's all going to be okay. It always will be. It always has been. It's all going to be all good. And this is just another beautiful stepping stone on the path to our collective, awareness raising, So
it's the true initiation and implementation of faith.
Yeah.
Deep faith. And I don't mean religious faith. I don't mean faith in the way that our Western minds have been kind of conditioned to believe. It's faith because if you've seen it in your own life, if it's experiential for you is faith.
Yeah.
You see that there's a grand design to everything that when you look at a bird's eye view and you can look at your life in a way that sees the good and bad as swirling into some sort of tapestry. It's like the poetry of life.
Like a stew?
Like a stew.
Like a chutney?
Like a nice gumbo of life.
A life chutney?
Where was I going with that?
I don't know. Good stew of
faith,
the good and the bad.
Faith, right.
Okay.
So faith is like, it's like a deeper knowing in faith that that the perfection in everything exists no matter what it looks like. And that's like the we're embodying all these emotions in every moment. We feel very deeply everything that's happening to us as we feel like it's happening to us. But what are we doing to happen to it, right? So how are we taking the moment into our own hearts, into our own hands as creators and creating and actually affecting the reality the way it goes. And when we do that, I feel like that's part of the grand design as well, which is even trippier because it's like how, if I'm able to have this free will, so to speak, how is it that everything is in a design, right? How is it designed?
It's quite the conundrum, the paradox.
Because I think if it's always positive motion, we're constantly affecting reality no matter what. If we are actively creating from a center of knowing our power and we're affecting the universe and the outcome of such, we're just really aligning to a timeline where what we perceive and what we see is actually being manifest.
Yeah.
And so everything you can possibly conceptualize in reality, every possible vantage point of how this could turn out, they all already exist and we're just hooking up with one of them. So which one are you going to hook up with? And that's your power as a creator, right? So you can choose the highest, you can choose the best and affect reality, but that reality is in effect already happened because even if it's a potential, it already exists in the ethers. It's like, Evan and I talk about this a lot, like where in music people go like, how do you create music? How did that song come about? And you go, well, that song existed. Every art piece existed in creation already. And literally what you're doing is hooking up to a vibration to allow it through to become manifest.
It's part of my method too, is to know that. Like making songs, I go, this song's already a thing, and all I'm doing is getting out of the way and allowing it to come through to be the way that it wants to be.
Right.
It becomes easy that way. It's not like, I have to do something to create it. It's just like, all you're doing is just allowing it to come through. Gentle and easy and fun.
And I think that anybody listening that wants original artistry, that isn't a direct, copy or basically something that has already been created or a
imitation,
a small variation of something that's already been created. If you want that, then what you do is you allow it to come through. That's why a lot of people will give us the reflection that Indubious doesn't sound like anything else, and you're going to hear a bunch of different influences in there, no doubt. But we let it come through
especially
the way that
no doubt. Gwen Stefani.
Derail.
That's pretty good though, right?
Yeah. But yeah, like that's really the way that original artistry comes through, is that we hook up to something that already exists vibrationally and we allow it to come through without impeding it with our own egos and needing it to be, let's tweak this and change this to sound like this. Let's make this way. Let's paint this to look this way. Instead of doing that, letting the true emotion of it come through and allowing everything that's coming through to come through. And then that sort of evolves art, in my opinion.
That's dope. When you brought up no doubt, it reminded me of when we came up with the name Indubious.
It's a trip because we were like, oh, it's so Indubious.
We liked the band name, No Doubt. We were like, that's a dope band. We picked out a bunch of band names we really liked. We liked Sublime. We liked No Doubt.
Which is funny. Neither of us are really big No Doubt fans, or never
No,
really
I just
were.
like that name.
But the name was super
because
solid.
it's powerful. It's like,
powerful.
yo, No Doubt. And so we were looking up synonyms. So first we liked No Doubt and we liked the name Sublime. The reason we liked the name Sublime because it was an original word that's a real word, but the band brought that word into collective use again. It's like a sublimation is a scientific term, I guess, and sublime is like, oh, perfect sublime. But it was kind of a very underused word in the same way that Indubious is. And so we looked up synonyms for No Doubt and Indubious came up because it was undoubtful. I was like, dope. That was kind of the way that we locked that in, which was weird because at the time we're like, oh yeah, not having doubt, that's cool. Little did we know that it would become this whole ethos. This, thousands and thousands of people would connect to it. We'd be sitting here talking, having podcasts about the philosophy behind living indubiously.
So that begs the question, right? That goes back to what we were saying previously.
Was that free will?
Did what we create come from an already existed viewpoint of source? Or did we actually create that? Yeah. And I think it's a co-creation, right? Because we are given the qualities of creator. We are made in his image, those things. And so we're given those qualities, but we're also co-creating with a rule and a law of ordinance that already exist in the universe. Yeah. And so it's a trip when you try to wrap your mind around it because the mind wants to explain and pick apart. Yeah. But when you feel with your heart, you realize that was something that already existed.
I don't know if I adhere to the full Sam Harris view of the no free will existing. It's definitely
it's a mix in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's a mix. I think there's destiny.
To give the listeners some reference, so Sam Harris is a brilliant mind, and he speaks about determinism. Yeah, and it comes from a deterministic.
He believes
viewpoint.
There is no free will.
So I'll give a little background. So determinism is essentially that there's so many factors in one's existence that are predetermined before you get here, and then when you do get here, are predetermined by your outside environment, your living, your home life, your societal structure, that he doesn't believe that any free will truly exists. And then a free will's viewpoint is that we have
choices.
We have every choice in the world available to us at any given time, and that we're completely autonomous.
Yeah. So to finish my train of thought, I feel like there's truth in that. I feel like once you align with the reality that it becomes your belief that you do not have free will, that there's nothing that you can do wrong, that you are aligned on your positive path, then indeed that is the way.
Sure.
But until you get there is a sense of chaos and a feeling, there's almost a feeling like we're doing something wrong, like we could miss the mark, so to speak. And I believe that is the feeling, that is the only way in which we can actually miss the mark is by having that real feeling. Truly. So it's like you have this destiny that's aligned with your higher self of what you came here to experience and learn and create, but you also have the ability to not do that. If a lot of people just kind of cop out. Yep. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't do it. Yep. So I guess it's a developing theory for me too. I don't know if I agree one way or another.
Well, coming from an atheist viewpoint and a science-minded viewpoint from Sam Harris's perspective, it's not really. He doesn't.
There's nothing atheist about him. It's hilarious.
There's nothing really atheist about atheists.
Yeah.
We all have belief structures, and those belief structures are the same thing as you could call God. Yeah. And so I think the rub is usually with atheists is that the common etymology of the word God
and the whole religion
and how it applies to an external source, something that's outside of yourself is where things get confusing. But anyway, I think from his viewpoint, because nothing can be proven of an afterlife, he's only looking at what's proven. And when you look at only what's proven, you're literally just copying a vibration over and over and over again. And by copying that vibration over and over and over again, you're reaffirming the things you already know over and over and over again. When truly we have chaos and we have order, we have the void and we have what's known. And everything that's known comes out of the void. Everything that's been created has come out of the void.
And what is known will be shown.
Yeah, and so if we don't get in touch with the mystery, if we don't get in touch with the unknown and get really comfortable living in the dark, and searching around and finding ways to navigate darkness and chaos, then we don't really pull new things out of the void. And so that's where, for me, the science mind ends, because you can't look at what has already been proven over and over and over again and then make leaps and bounds and have, the impossible happen in your life. And
you just go in and in and into that belief more and more.
And you reaffirm it over and over and over again. You reestablish the same vibration over and over and over again. So
what do you think? There's this. It takes that leap of faith to see.
It takes a leap of faith. It takes
for me. A lyric about that, right?
For me, it takes experience, life experience. That's truly what mystic means. It means actually embodying and knowing through experience. And so, by living your life in a way that's in accordance with your higher self. See, you can't prove with science that there's a higher self. You can't prove consciousness. Consciousness is this elusive thing. And so, if you can't prove it, does that mean it doesn't exist? Well, no. But if you start exploring yourself, you'll start to realize things and things about yourself that show you. And I've been shown so clearly for myself what is going on behind the scenes. That
Are you sure it wasn't just the drugs?
Yeah, I am. I am certainly sure. Because these things,
as a joke,
yeah, no, I
get a very thoughtful response.
Well, I mean, there's truth to it. I know it was a joke, but it's like, yes, psychedelics can show you these things. Should they be the only thing that show you? Absolutely not. And if they are, then you could be deluded.
Yeah.
And so,
just a window.
It's just a window, and really going to psychedelics was really just, that was a second step in consciousness for me, because I was realizing these things already, which helped to affirm those things. So
I knew all those things innately since I was young. And not only did I feel them and know them innately, but they were mirrored back to me by my parentals, of stuff that they knew, stuff that they believed didn't know, maybe.
Well, totally.
It was a good example of people who go, oh, this is the way it is, and then don't, necessarily apply it 100%. And I go, okay, well, they're saying that it's a thing, but they're not doing the thing that they say. And so it gave me the opportunity to take it to the next step of really implementing it. And the result, it like you said, it becomes science. It becomes cause and effect, empirical truth, where you do something and you get a response. You're gonna have to be stupid to not go, okay, something's going on here.
Yep.
And then you delve into that, and it just proves itself more and more. And it's just like, what do you want to experience? What do you want to be the reality? Because when you believe that is the reality, that becomes a reality. Let's believe the best reality that we can believe. What is the reality that works for all of us?
Yeah, and like speaking of those people that you saw in your life early, it's like, humans have an innate ability to see the template of reality. It's whether or not they take the map and actually go to the destination or start going on the journey. But the fact that map is intrinsically in some human beings, in all of us, really, if we tap into it, we just want to explain it away because that's the way that, this culture works. So like the Dagura tribe of Burkina Faso in Africa.
One of my favorite tribes is Burkina Faso. Out of all the Burkina Faso tribes, the Dagura, dude.
So the Dagura, when a new life is going to come into the tribe, they, the grandparents, the ones that are closest to the spirit world, and the children, the ones that are also closest to the spiritual world, have a unique bond and connection. And so the grandparents, the elders of the tribe, there's certain elders that are responsible for speaking to the baby in the womb and the soul of that baby to find out the specific purpose for their life on earth. And so this has been happening for thousands of years, way before this culture ever took root, and this mindset ever took root. This is something ancient. This is the way that it was intended to be.
Yeah.
And once they find out that purpose, they do everything they can once that child is born to foster that purpose, because that soul had a specific reason for coming here. And that's one of the things the Western mind has lost, is our actual remembrance of the exact reason in which we came.
Well, it's not just that. It's just even the basic belief that we came, that we're here from, you know what I mean?
Something other than an animal.
Yeah. But.
Right. Well, and the truth is we've been so many things. We've been every color, every race, everything.
Yeah.
We've done that so many times that the idea of race, the idea of differences within the human self they're it's a moot point, because really we've done it so many times that when you come from that perspective, at least for me, my experience, when I see other human beings, I don't care where they come from, what they are, I look at them as playing a very unique role for a very specific purpose, destined for them and destined for also their gift to come through to help humanity. So no matter what they are, I mean, I was at the airport the other day, and I'm looking around, I'm like, oh, well, there's a African-American reverend. Oh, there's a Mormon family. How cute all of it is, really.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a condescending way. It's like every single person playing every single role.
Yeah.
They play it so well, and they're so fervent, and they have so many opinions.
Yeah.
But let them have them, because the truth is that we are.
It's like Dungeons and Dragons right now, dude.
It really. I mean, do you have, like, if you think about it in that context, do you have any? If you played Dungeons and Dragons, do you have any? Do you have any judgment for an elf versus a mage? No, not really, because they're characters.
You can't speak for me. You have no idea what I have against elves.
I don't. This guy hates elves. Anyway, so, like, you know what I mean? It's like if we see it from that perspective, if we see human beings and humanity playing roles, and they're all playing a role, and they've played a very different, vast amount of roles throughout history, then it's their soul you should see. And so we try to meet people there,
One thing I want to say too is for everyone listening, we're doing a video recording of this podcast, so you can go and watch it on YouTube, Indubious Music YouTube, and you can see ourselves.
And these bro ones are fun for me because we don't really ever plan anything. We just sit down and talk.
Well, it's very non-formal. Like, we'll go, what do you want to talk about? Like I said that before we came in here. I was eating some banana.
What did I say?
And you said, no, we'll figure it out. I was like, all right, fine. And then we came in here, and look how great it's going. This is going really good.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so good.
I wanted to ask you about your little avatar guy, the Skit Wicked guy. How do you like playing this role, man? Are you happy about it?
Recently, yeah, man. I'll be real honest about that.
Don't lie.
Real freaking honest.
Jesus is watching, listening.
Buddy Christ. Anyway, yeah. So a lot of my life I was not, and I didn't know why. And it's because I attached way too much to the form and believed that that there was a judge.
You were a meat box person?
Well, I believed there was a judge. I believed there was something that was judging me that wasn't me. But the truth is, it was all me the whole time.
That's a trip.
And so there isn't a judge. There is a high standard and a potential that we feel that judges us. Mm-hmm. A high potential we feel for ourselves, what we know we're capable of deep down.
Yeah.
The highest potential. But I realized that my actions and the things that I did were only hurting my ability to see what and who I was. Mm. And so now I no longer really attach to the avatar as much as I do the highest vibrational offering of my soul, mm-hmm. the way that I was created at source.
Yeah.
And so my role that I'm playing, I look at it more like a movie.
Yeah.
It's like, how do I do this the best I possibly can in the highest accordance with self and with humanity as possible?
Yeah.
And so the more that I turn that love inward and love myself for where I am exactly the way mm-hmm. that I was created, mm-hmm. then my avatar, it follows that love. And so I don't necessarily care anymore about, the schlep of life as much as I do just being engaged in it and getting the benefit and the joy of being able to experience it. Because it's just like the best gift you could possibly get to be able to be on this planet. And it makes me really happy just to be able to get that gift. How about you, bro?
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, obviously, we typically share a lot of the same opinions about things. I haven't had so much of the theme of the intense judge of myself. I mean, I definitely have, I think everybody has that. But as far as enjoying my avatar, actually I watched Avatar, that cartoon this morning with Sela, the Legend of Korra, but that's another story. I do really like being me. It's fun. I don't take it seriously. It's not like you said, I've woken up from the dream of this is me, and more it's like this is the part I'm playing right now. And I've been blessed enough to realize that the part I'm playing is the guy who gets to let people know they're just playing parts. And so it's like it's fun for me, which makes it good for everyone too. It's part of the being fun for me is the fact that I get to do it and feel it and experience it and then get to share that with people. I have a platform in which I can share it. It's not like an ego thing. It's just fun. It's just fun to know. And it's like the more that I know, the more that I experience that knowing. Because like I said, it's like one of those things of the universe. What you know will be shown. What is known will be shown.
Yep.
Simple. And the more I know it, the more it's shown to me. Like everywhere I go, dude, like I just expect magic things to happen. And
they do.
Everywhere I just expect it. It's just always magical and it's always perfect. It's always aligned. It's always for the highest good. It always, sometimes it brings up discomfort or feelings that aren't favorable, but then turn into, growth and self-love and, everything just getting better and better and better. Like we went to South Dakota, right? You were there. You know the story, but I'll tell it to all the other people who don't know.
I was there.
You were there. Before we even played the show, I had the very strong feeling that the show wasn't even the reason we were there,
That's pretty much every show.
The show wasn't, the music's cool. It's the thing that catapults us around the world. And the thing that attracts people to us, it's the spark. It's the shiny object.
It's the role.
It's the shiny thing. People go, ooh, shiny things, and then they get sucked into the depth of the vortex that we're creating, this energetic thing. So we show up there, and I get this feeling that we're in this magic place. We're in Deadwood. Deadwood's a historic town. It's like this old cowboy town. It's kind of cool and interesting. A lot of Trump T-shirts out there, and no one wears a mask. Got this really
how exciting,
really interesting energy. And then we walk down to go get some food, and then a guy that knows us, sees us and comes in to the restaurant and starts talking to us, and we hit it off, and he ends up becoming our brother, and it turns out he's going through this huge transition in his life, and he needs our support, and we get to talk and connect, and he introduces us to his friend who is this powerful, incredible, benevolent medium that ends up doing the sessions for Skip and I, which was, just profoundly important. And we get to go see. We got to go to a spiritual retreat center called Pathways, right? Pathways. Yeah, in out by Deadwood. I guess I don't know exactly where it is.
The Black Hills area.
Yeah, it's the Black Hills, and it was a transformational spiritual experience. And this is before we even played any shows. The show was cool, whatever, but it was the magic that was circling around us that it was like, yeah, man, this is why. This is the thing. It's like not only are we Dungeons and Dragon characters, we get to go on epic quests, and these wizards come out of the woodwork and reveal these sacred amulets to us, and it's cool. It's just fun, and I'm getting so good at viewing it in the way that continues to attract it as being fun that I have no choice but to attract other people into my sphere that want to learn how to have it be that same way for them. And so here we are. Welcome to the class of having fun.
Yep. Yeah, and for me, my highest joy in life is learning little tricks and tips to my own self-mastery. And when I do that, I love myself more. When I love myself more, my highest joy is to go and travel and love people and be with them. You know, people don't remember what you say to them necessarily. Mm-hmm. They remember exactly how you made them feel, how they feel around you. And so I try to be that because people need that and we need that and I need that. And that connection is so deeply healing for me. So deeply healing to be able to go around the country and hear about your lives and really it deepens my understanding of compassion.
And when you feel good, you naturally want other people to feel. Other people just naturally start feeling good around you too.
Exactly. And so my understanding of compassion is greatly amplified because I start to realize that I am so, no matter what choices or opinions or anything that I see in anybody that's holding them back, I realize how close that is to me, the relatability that is to my life, how much I could be there, how 3 steps away in any direction of 3 different decisions I could be where they are. And when you see that relatability, you literally have so much more compassion for yourself. And you realize how funny and
Dude,
quirky we are.
I just had a great idea.
Lay it on me, bro.
So, everyone out there, guess who moved to Bend? Matt Kahn.
Yeah.
Matt Kahn moved to Bend. That's where we live. And
Matt Kahn's
I
awesome.
love Matt Kahn. He's like the love master. He's all
awesome.
about self-love.
Yeah. Beautiful
he's
dude.
He's
beautiful dude.
He's the man. We should have him on the podcast.
We should have him on the podcast. You know what, you guys? Why don't you guys go tell him?
Go tell Matt
His
Kahn.
name's Matt Kahn, MattKahn. He's on Facebook, you know.
Yeah,
look him up on YouTube, and if you're like,
popular, he does very well.
He's a really cool dude. But if you guys are like, yo,
he's a spiritual teacher, kind of a.
Yeah, he's just a channeler.
Yeah, he's a channeler.
It's hard to quantify, but he's awesome.
He's a tender little guy. He's magical.
He's magic, bro.
We need to get him on the podcast, man. That would be dope. Get him right here.
Yeah,
let's do that.
That sounds good.
Manifested.
Done.
Set it and done. Set it down and done. So, shall we progress into the next section?
Do we have a segment of refreshment or?
Yeah, this is the perfect time for a segment of refreshment.
Abraham.
All right. Let's answer some questions.
Let's do it.
Question time. It's question time. Oh, it's question time. Questions. We posted out there on the interwebs. We said, hey, if you got a question, you ask it. We had some fantastic questions come up. We had some really bad questions. We're not going to answer those. Just kidding.
Yeah, if we don't answer your question, it's not because it's bad, but it might be.
Yeah, it's not necessarily because it's a bad question, but that could be why. You know, you're going to have to figure that out yourself, man.
So...
You got it? And you want me to do it, bro?
Oh, I got it, man.
I'll pull up the Facebook questions, okay? And then you do the Instagram one. Sound good?
Okay, yeah, man.
Okay. You want me to ask one?
I want to ask you one.
Okay.
When Evan was facing his own challenges with CF and the transplant, how did you feel distant yet connected, and how have those manifests become your own truths?
Well,
I'll let you go for that one.
I don't know what it means. How do those manifests become truths? But I'll address the first part of the question, which is like what was it like when I was going through that, and it was like that distance. It was interesting because I was really close to the spirit realm. Like I was like kind of like maybe I'm gonna die, not in a bad way. Like I was okay with that, but you were holding it down. You were very healthy during that time, and it was hard for me watching you go through it. The hardest thing about me getting sick and the transplant was watching my loved ones go through having to see me do it, because when you're inside of it, it's not that bad. It's just your reality. But like the letting, it was a feeling of letting people down. It was a feeling of letting everyone down. It's like, shit, I'm going to be the reason you're going to be all fucking sad. This sucks, And so there was a big part of that was almost guilty feeling or something.
It's true.
Like I wish I could have done something better. But now, of course, in retrospect, there was nothing wrong with any of it. It was all part of my warrior's journey that, put my spirit in the flames and catalyzed it into this powerful person that I am. So it's like, it was a pretty badass experience overall. I could tell that it was hard for you though.
Well, the funny thing is that what you just said was exactly what everybody else was going through, like to the degree that you were going through your own thing and worrying about everybody else, and we were all worried about you.
I know, it's weird.
And so
it's just it seems to be the nature of reality, right?
Well, and if you look at it, it's not funny because obviously there's a lot of pain there, but it is funny.
Pain is hilarious. What are you talking about?
No, I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's funny that we all looked at it that way, and yet it gave us some of the biggest gifts we could have possibly hoped for. All that pain made us so strong, bro.
Yeah, I do think it's funny though. I think it's funny how how serious it felt at the time, and then now looking back, it's just like, it's fine. It all turns out. If you can develop that like kind of that outlook during crisis, you're a fucking master. And that's what I'm going for. And that's why when, my friend's house burns down or something, it's not that, it's more like, yo, how exciting.
Yep.
This is gonna be real fun for you to learn and experience and grow and change and practice all this, release of all these attachments and fall into the magic flow of the universe when everything's taken away from you. Like, not many people get to experience that. It's fucking exciting.
It is.
It's the level in the Dungeons and Dragons video game that we're in where you get to create your story, your backstory. Every good character has a fucking backstory.
Yeah, exactly.
What if your backstory is like, oh, he grew up and he had parents and a sister, and then he went to school and then he went to college.
And his mommy and daddy loved him very much, and he became a superhero.
Computer programmer.
Well, it's like,
that's cool.
Bruce Wayne and his parents getting killed. His backstory. Yeah. It was horrible for him.
Every single Disney movie starts with their parents dying.
Without Bruce Wayne's parents dying, you'd have no Batman.
Yeah. Harry Potter, bro.
Come on.
Harry Potter's parents, gone. Grew up with his shitty step-parents, and they were mean to him.
But
he's the chosen one, dude.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
You got to choose yourself to be the chosen one. How about now we do a Facebook question?
Okay.
When are you coming back to Hawaii? When the COVID ends and things are good.
Well, tell you what. Buy me a ticket. I'm there, bro.
Yeah, buy us a ticket. Billy Johnson. We'll come back to Hawaii.
We'll come hang out with you personally. We'll stay at your house.
Jen Armstrong has a good question here. With all the live streams you guys have done this year, do you feel like they have given you a different perspective of creating music? Or have they allowed you to observe, critique, or develop your music in new ways had there not been month after month of no live music? Do you want to answer it?
I mean, for me, it's just, it's really like, it hones your adaptability as a human being. And so anything that's happening is just happening. For me, I'm like, did I get a better perspective? I mean, would I like to be playing shows? Sure. Do I like live streams? Yeah. Does it help us understand technology a little bit more and start to work with people? Yeah. Would you have a podcast?
I got a fancy camera.
Would you have a podcast called Living Indubiously if there wasn't COVID? Probably not.
No. Would we have a new album if there wasn't COVID?
Probably not.
Eventually, maybe, but not the same album.
And so really, for me, it's about like having the adaptability for whatever comes to make the ultimate timeline happen there.
Which is like the key to that, in my opinion, is non-resistance. Oh, this is what it is? Okay, perfect. Oh, no, now it's this? Okay, perfect. Okay, whatever it is perfect. I don't resist anything. It's always the way that it's going to be. And then you just fit right into the flow. There's no resistance, baby.
Exactly, because like, could I allowed myself to get depressed and sulk and all that stuff? Sure. Did I do that a little bit? Sure. But I used it as fuel to be able to catalyze something bigger. Yeah,
that was a great question, Jen.
Thanks, Jen.
Let's give a shout out to Jen Armstrong. She manages our Facebook Indubious group, the Indubian Nation. She's fantastic. She is selfless.
She is
intelligent, lovely human being. We appreciate you,
Gratitude,
Jen.
sister. Thank you.
We love you.
I got one I want to answer. How's Rastafari propelled you to be the men, husbands, fathers you are, and what guidelines has your reasonings brought you inner peace? What do you do to focus when you struggle with heavy loads in life? I'm going to answer the Rastafari piece for myself. Rastafari taught me the concept of kingship and what that really means.
Yeah, same way, man.
Kingship as a creator, as a king, as a queen. Remember, Rastafari was crowned alongside Empress Menen. So the king and queen were crowned at the same time. And so this applies to every man, woman, and child. It's about, first thing about being a king is knowing your God. It's about knowing what you serve that's higher than yourself in every situation. And that you are created underneath this guide, this source. And so you serve that first and foremost. Morality. You know, based on your conscience, what you should and shouldn't be doing to yourself, what you should and shouldn't be doing to humanity. And to listen to that is to be a king or a queen. Haile Selassie stood up and spoke up for African unity. He spoke up for the world. And the reason he did that was because he served his God. And through that, he is God. And so that is the deepening of understanding kingship.
Very well said, man.
Benevolent rulership, international morality, the guide of the fact that we came from one birthplace in Africa will unify and rectify every situation, every problem in every man's conscience, because you know exactly what to do from the founding of creation, from the first man and woman. And so Rastafari is esoteric and it's tangible. It's both. So it's something that you can apply to your daily life, and you don't have to get lost in dogma. You know, it's not about the specifics of daily life as much as it is your conscience and your morality. And so that was the best way I could say it in a short amount of time.
I don't think that anyone could have said it any better if they had a lot of time. Just an outsider's perspective. For me, it's what Rastafari has taught me and gifted to me has been from before I even knew what it was, which is through the power of reggae music. And reggae music was born out of suffering from a people that were suffering. From the slaves in Jamaica, stolen from Africa, brought to a foreign land. And it was the way that they were able to rise above the physicality of their experience and become more than what they were previously. So this is the energetic sovereignty that we are able to grant ourselves through the power of knowing ourselves. This is becoming the king, the energetic king of our domain. And it is developing the aspect of, not developing, just knowing the aspect of ourselves that nobody can touch, that nothing can touch. Yep. This energetic sovereignty is the guiding principle of our spiritual evolution. And this was the way that I want to say this is specific. It's like reggae music is the vessel through which this transmission is sent to people. And the way that people respond to it and hear it and feel it is based on how resonant they are with that reality and their ability to see it. There's a lot of reggae music that is made and created and listened to today that is void of this message, and this is something that is happening rampant around the world. But that does not take away from the power of what is really, truly embedded in the root of original reggae music. This is the roots. The root is the message, the intention, and the vibration.
Yep, straight up, Nyabingi.
Thank you for that question. That was powerful for me.
The Nyabingi heartbeat. Ooh, ooh, ooh. That's the root. That's the root. Straight up, bro. We've got something they could never take away. Straight up.
So, Debbie Jane Griffin, she says, my question would be, how do you retain balance? Let's see if there's any more context to that. Been sensing those with balanced connections are hanging in, and those with shadows feel they are drowning. Had people reaching out here. So my guess...
I got something to say.
So I guess my question is, how do you retain balance?
You mind?
No, I'll say it for both of us. Whoever resonates can speak upon.
Those that aren't sitting with their shadow, integrating and not projecting, are going to be out of balance. That is the balance. That is what is being called of all of us. It's when these shadows come up, not projecting them to the outside world, finding the origins within self, for those shadows to be able to be vanquished, because we have all of these things coming up when we need to sit quietly on our hands in our houses. We're going to have those things come up, and when the world is tearing itself apart on Facebook and Twitter, of course, naturally we're going to feel things. But the ones that are going to win in this time are the ones that choose the side of good and righteousness, which is allowing the darkness and shadows of self to arise, to be able to look at and analyze these things, love those things, find a deeper reasoning and purpose for why you're here, and not make your own shadow the world's problem, because the world is merely existing within a frame of your own perception. If you can't see the world in, and I'll answer a question in this answering of the other question, which is, Ross Turo, he said, how do you find peace within yourself when you see so much hate and carelessness between people? Answer is, I don't.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
I don't see that. I see a birthing of new consciousness every day of my life, because I know what's really happening behind the scenes. I know that through the messiness is where we find peace. And so what I would suggest is that we start looking for the places in which, Mr. Rogers said something. He said, when something terrible would happen in the world, my mother would always say, look for the helpers, because there's always people helping. And it sounds real fluffy, doesn't it? It sounds real fluffy, like, we're supposed to ignore the things that are injustices. Not what I'm saying at all. But the injustices are not conquered from that place. You can't suffer enough in this world to aid somebody in their suffering. I'm going to say that again. You can't suffer.
We will be saying that until the end of time, I'm sure.
For somebody else to aid their suffering. You've got to come from a completely different vibrational angle. You've got to come from a way in which to see the beauty in what is happening and conspiring for the greater benefit of humanity and for yourself. And we do that with sitting with our shadow. We do that with feeling uncomfortable feelings, understanding their origin, and not running, because we find so many things in this world and so many ways to run from ourselves. There's so many ways to make yourself feel better if you're sitting there and having something come up for yourself. But, I challenge you all to sit with it. I challenge you all to sit down and feel those things and cry, yell, scream if you have to. Mm-hmm. Find out the origin by sitting and being curious. You can do a lot by... when something really terrible comes up inside of yourself and you just feel just overwhelmed, just to be curious, have a curious spirit for the origin of where that comes from without feeling the need to have to react to it. And that's the balance. That's the balance.
So how do you know if someone's out of balance with their shadow? What are the indicators? What are these people doing?
Well, it's first of all that question. It's not my business to know if somebody's out of balance. It's not my business because you can't change other people. You can't do anything to change them. So my analysis of somebody else's balance is merely my own judgment of self. Simple.
How would someone know if they were? How can someone feel if they are out of balance and they're looking to find balance with their shadow, but they don't know? What is an indicator for them?
How do they find balance with their shadow?
How do you know if they're in balance with their shadow? How do they know?
Well, yeah, it's a great question. If
Thank you.
If stuff comes up for you, watch what you do. Watch with the eye of the witness at what your physical self wants to do. It's a shortcut. A lot of Rinpoches from Tibet and otherwise will talk about a shortcut to finding peace while meditating. And they talk about, instead of trying to quiet your mind, because you can get confused and you don't know why your mind keeps moving, try to calm your body. If you sit still long enough, your mind will follow suit. And so
I like that idea.
And so we try to tame, because we're trying to tame our minds from our minds. And sometimes you have to come from a different angle. And so if things arise for you, what do you do? What do you do? Watch it. Be curious about what that is. Watch where you go. You feel an uncomfortable feeling. What's the next thing you do? Do you pull out your phone, start scrolling? Do you go and you eat a sandwich? What do you do? And find out if you just know the next step, then you can ask for the next step and the next step. So figure out what you do when things come up.
Good stuff there, brother. Chris Robbins says, "What's the first book I should read to go help me live more indubiously?" 4 Agreements. Great one.
It's a good
starter pack.
It's a good starter pack. That's a good one.
4 Agreements. I would read Joe Dispenza. I think any of his books would be a good starter. It's like, becoming mindful of the thoughts that you think and programming your mind to think in a way that's going to deliver you some desired results, man. You know what I'm saying?
It can be anything, and that's the part that it's hard to start somewhere. It's about starting with yourself and coming and reading something from the right perspective. Those are good starters, though. Becoming Supernatural is a great book by Joe Dispenza.
What kind of, Vanessa Gomez says, what kind of mindful exercises do you practice to enter the state of being where making decisions is easy and knowing what path to take becomes clear? I'd like to answer that one. Mindfulness exercise sounds specific to a mindfulness exercise, but what I do in order to get to a place where making decisions is easy and knowing what path to take becomes clear is I make my alignment my primary goal on a daily basis. The most important thing that I can do is be aligned. And what that means is choosing myself, choosing joy, choosing happiness, choosing positivity, choosing to see things clearly, choosing contentment, choosing to be satisfied. And the way that I do this is by mindfully choosing the thoughts that deliver these results to my feeling center of my heart. What are we thinking? What are we sitting around and thinking about? Are we choosing to sit around and think about issues that we have with others? Do we choose to think about problems that we need to fix? Or do we choose to think about ways in which we are so blessed? Or do we choose to think about ways in our life that we experience so many blessings and, just these sources of positivity and all these things that come into our lives daily, and the ways that we're all aligned and the ways that we're all so similar? Do we choose to think about ways that we're getting so much better at things in our life? Do we look at our old self and go, gosh, I'm so much better than I used to be? Think of how I'm going to be in 10 years from now. It's crazy. Do we choose to sit around and think about how much we love people, how proud we are of people that we love, of our loved ones, of that they're doing so great, and they're here and they're alive and they're smiling and they're doing our thing? Just like, there's so many good things. That's alignment. And when I'm in a place where everything feels good, that I feel so blessed, It's super easy to choose what the right path is, because all you have to do is choose by your based on feeling, by your heart. What feels good? It's easy, it's clear, because you become more sensitive to it. Because as you become more and more tuned to your alignment, you become far more sensitive to what is in alignment and what's not. Because you're no longer allowing shitty things in. You're not allowing in the garbage. The garbage vibration stuff. You become a vibrational snob. You become an aficionado of the finest vibes.
The subtleties, yeah. And I'd say until you get to the space he's at, sit down until you get to that space before you act, before you do anything. And if it takes you a whole day, if it takes you a whole week, it's worth it. It's so worth it, because any action performed outside of that spot doesn't have as much effect on reality as you think it does. That alignment is going to make that action so much more potent. So sit until you get there. Talk yourself into it. Yep.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, brother. I got an interesting one here.
Okay.
I mean, feel free if you want.
No, go for it, bro. I'm good.
I got one queued up, though. How did you guys, this is from Sal Hernandez Kate. How did you guys market yourself in the very beginning? Do you feel like your music had the most draw, or the way you networked? It's a good question. The reason I like that question is because it's coming from an analytical, scientific mind, but it has such a non-analytical scientific answer.
And that is so ripe for a good answer.
Yeah.
Go for it.
You want me to hit it?
Yeah, go for it.
All right.
I got something to say, but I want you to start.
Okay. I'll warm it up for you, bro.
Yeah.
Warm it up, Skip.
Alley-oop, bro. Alley-oop me.
Alley-oop. Well, it's funny. In the beginning, I thought that we were going to be overnight sensations. I was like, dude, this music's dope. This is aligned. This is something no one's ever heard of. We're hella good, man. This is going to be easy. That's how I felt. And then here we are 15 years later, and it feels like we're just starting to really get into the hearts of the people, finally. Was it marketing? Did we find a new way to market ourselves that got us there?
No, that was the problem.
No, that was the issue, is that we're trying so hard the whole time, trying so hard to get in front of people, to release that piece of music that was going to be the thing that resonated, to get the right producer, to get the investor, to get the business dialed in.
Why?
Why were we doing that?
Yeah, why?
Well, because we're taught that is the way that you achieve things, through hard work. And it turns out that when we decided to leave that all to the side and do this because it brings us joy, that we're not trying to receive anything from it other than it itself, that everything else fell into place. We stopped trying. We stopped efforting, and we started just doing what we knew, which was making music in alignment with ourselves, because it was the perversion of energy that in which we needed to be something that we were not in order to gain self-worth. We were looking for our self-worth to be reflected to us in an external way, but we realized our own self-worth, and then the external started to reflect to us our self-worth. It was an energetic game all along. It was a trick.
Mm-hmm. True. And I think one thing that definitely needs to be mentioned here is because we every single topic is 2 topics, right? It's
Hot topic.
It's essentially the not having of something and the having of something. And we feel better if we want something. We think we'd feel better if we had it.
Yeah.
And that's the deeper reason it didn't work. Because we thought we'd feel better if we were successful. We thought we'd feel better but that's not what we were doing at all. That's not what we were doing at all. That wasn't the purpose that Source had intended for us in the first place. It was essentially a wanting so deep for something that we thought we would make ourselves feel better that we could, it's like somebody wants to win the lottery, but do you? Do you want to win the lottery? You're like, yeah, hell yeah, I do. But truly, you're going to get that money and you're going to be the same exact person with money. That's why there's a ton of rich people out there that
are miserable assholes.
They're miserable. Why is that?
Some people are so poor, all they have is their money.
That's true. It's true. And it's because we think we want something external in order to satiate the things we haven't been able to fill within ourselves. And so what I've found for myself is that when I can take my now moment, live right here, not projecting into what I want for the future or what I have been in the past, but live right here and have everything that I've ever desired in this moment because I'm alive, I'm healthy, I'm joyous, even if you're not healthy. If you are alive and here right now and you can be contented with what you have, everything will be given to you. Everything will come in. That's the space. That's how you do it. That's how you manifest. People say, focus on the thing you want. Well, yeah, but if you're too interested in having the thing you want, they don't tell you that you're pushing it away and the universe doesn't know any better, that you're actually amplifying your lack.
Yeah.
And so
you're people coming from a place of, I want this. Just the standard, I want this, is coming from a place of you don't have it. It's a vibrational...
I don't have this, therefore give me more lack, is what you're actually programming into the...
You can't get there from there. You can't get to the place of having it from a place of not having it. So what are our options? Our options is seeing the ways in which we already have what it is we're trying to get. Not just going, oh yeah, I kind of have it, but really actually getting so good at that vibrational game that you actually don't even... The need for more is not there. Becoming so content in where you are that you are just happy.
Yep.
And then what happens then is everything else starts to fill in your vibrational vortex into your grid. It fills in, it comes in just like you always thought it would because you're not trying anymore. It's the age-old thing of you want the girl so bad that she doesn't like you. It's the same energetic game of reaching, and by reaching, you're pushing away. So we become more welcoming. We become more welcoming by dwelling in a place in which we already have all. And tell them the Bible verse that you like.
I like a lot of them, but the one that you're referring to is
the one I'm referring to.
Matthew 13:12, which is Jesus speaking, and he says, "For those who have everything, more will be given. For those who will have nothing, more will be taken away."
Brutal.
And first you're like, that's just so fucked up.
That's unfair, man.
But no, it's not. He's speaking of the nature of reality, which is if you can find wholeness right now, if you can be happy right now with what you have, with who you are,
more will be given.
And so you can go, I want these things. But the second you need them to complete your happiness, they'll be taken from you.
Because you're seeing life through 2 ways. One, seeing it through, you already have everything. You're literally feeling that you already have everything and more is given to you. More of that thing in which you feel you have all of it is given to you because it becomes reflected back.
Yeah,
but then when you're like, dude, I'm missing this, I need this, more is taken away. And so it's weird. It's weird to me that that's the way reality is, especially after just discovering this in my life. It doesn't really so much make sense that that's the way that it is, but it is. I know that it is.
That's the nature of living as a soul with a mind. Our minds are complex and they're made for tools. Mm-hmm. They're made for figuring things out, tangibility. And it seems counterintuitive because we're coming at it from the mind. But if you come from the heart, if you come from your heart space and you feel whole and you feel at home right now, then you can go, hey, I want that, but I don't really need it because I'm good the way that I am.
Yeah.
Start working on that vibration. Start working on how good you are now. And if you're not good now, figure out why. Go, what? That's the shadow.
But you don't even have to want to. You just point. That looks fun.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's do that. But it's from a place of like just very blessed.
And so I'm gonna segue into this next question because it goes right along the topic.
You're gonna segue into it. All right.
Segue, like, you know.
Yeah, that's kind of what I saw. Is like a.
Is that why they call them segues? Probably.
Yeah, because that's how you.
Because you just kind of slide right into the conversation.
Yeah.
All right. So Garrett, did Jesus?
No, they named the Segway after the word Segway. Just to be clear.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, they named
That's
the
what
little
I'm saying.
slidey guy after the
Because you just slide into the conversation.
Totally, yeah.
All right, so Garrett, I think it's
to
Garrett to Jesus, man. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that, but he says, "Aloha, brother. My question is: have you guys worked with detachment practices? A lot of my practice works with the Four Noble Truths and cessation from worldly attachment to eliminate suffering. However, I run into a problem when it comes to things I love."
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you and everybody else, brother.
Oh,
I love
brother.
my family, friends, art, my life, etc. How do you recommend I detach from those things and I hold close to my heart?
It's good because that was just kind of what we're talking about.
Are you attached to detaching?
Hey now. Boom.
You don't need to do anything. That's the first and foremost. So what I'd suggest if you're listening to this is just release the need to even live in the Four Noble Truths just for a second. Just release.
It's a guide.
It's a guide. And so you might be more attached to the idea of detaching that needs to happen. And what I mean is that your family, your friends, your wife, your children, you're going to be hopelessly addicted and attached to them. That's just the way nature is. What you have to find within yourself is a place in which you love where you're at so deeply and who you are so deeply that you can enjoy it and know that even when it is taken from you, you're still going to be you, you're still going to be whole, and you're still not going to need anything, and you're going to be able to handle that pain, you're going to be able to handle everything that comes to you, and so that you're not doing this, you're not shying away from potentially losing something you love.
Right.
That you can just sort of let those things come and go in your life.
Yeah. You're not going to be stoked. You don't have to like sit there and meditate until you don't love your baby anymore or something. It's like
that's not the
what it
way.
is.
You have to fully immerse yourself within that love for that creature, within the love for your life, within the love for your job, whatever it is you truly love. Immerse yourself in it, but know it is temporary.
Yeah. And so here's a good way to think about it. So you're with he says he's with his partner, right? Is that what he said?
He said family, friends, art, life.
Okay,
Yeah.
So let's just say, for example, your lady. I don't know if you have one, but it's an easy, relatable thing for everybody.
Yeah.
If you really, truly love this person, you're going to have attachment to them. You're going to love them. You're going to want to hang out with them and all that. But the way to think about non-attachment is not that you need to learn to just not like them so much. It's that you need to love them so much and love yourself enough to where there's sovereignty, to where, let's say your partner finds someone, they meet somebody else that they love more than you, and that person's going to bring them more happiness. Would that be something that you would want them to do, that you would allow them to do? And if not, it's because it's not real love. That is attachment.
Yeah, I would say that I will qualify that and say that that's not going to feel good for anybody. You're not going to
It's not going to feel good, but it's a decision. It's that this person, I love them enough to where I want the best reality for them. That's not a selfish love. It's not that I just want them to love me so I feel good. That's not love. That is love coming from an insecurity place. That's proving self-worth through your external environment.
Well, and through unconditional love for self. It's like, how quick are you to forgive yourself? If you can look at your life and forgive yourself for your trespasses in your life and your shortcomings, if you can look at yourself and still love yourself no matter what, then you can do the same for anything that happens in your life. And so your love will come and go, lifetimes will come and go, things will rise and things will pass away. And that's what the Buddha was speaking about, is finding that middle way. He wasn't saying, don't love your wife. He was saying, love your wife deeply and completely, knowing full well that it is a fleeting part of this human existence. And that if it does pass, that pain is a fleeting part of this human existence, and that it all rises and passes away.
Yeah.
And if we can allow it to look like that, if we can allow it to look like a wave and see the wave as the beautiful part and not be so caught up in the peaks and the valleys, that's non-attachment.
Yeah.
And so like not attaching to the specific emotional circumstance as much as you are just allowing what is to be.
Yeah.
And
it's not taking everything you love and putting it in the garbage disposal.
Yeah.
You don't have to burn, your life to the ground to know God, but the non-attachment, like, here's another way. Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. Are you complete with your idea?
Yeah, I'm complete.
Okay. Here's another way I'd like to propose it, is that there are things we want to be attached to also. Like, for example, you were using it as the kind of paradox of him being attached to detachment or whatever, which is interesting. For me, I'm attached to one thing, and that is my alignment. My alignment. And so it's an energetic game. I have, like he said, he has his art. He's attached to his art. I'm attached to my art in a way, but I'm attached to the feeling and the clarity and the joy that it gives me. That's what I'm attached to. That can take any shape. That for me takes multiple shapes. Music is one. The work that I do with my, life coaching stuff is another way in which I experience this great joy and creativity and connectedness and all this stuff. So it's not that I'm attached to music. I mean, I am in a sense, maybe a little, I'm attached. I'm just attached to the feeling of being excited. No, and it can take any shape that it takes. That may go away. That I may get sucked into some other thing. But because I am vibrationally in tune, I'm not going to be resistant to the next logical step on my mind because of a mindless attachment to something that is just a placeholder figurine, Yeah. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah.
All right. Good vibes.
It does. I also try to be easy with my attachment to those things because, I realize that my own self goes in waves, and when I'm not aligned, I don't kick myself for not being there. I just find ways to be ready for that alignment to come and to coax myself back into that place. So the easier I am with myself, the better off. So I say, man, Garrett, just be easy with yourself, bro.
It's all self-love.
You don't have to adhere to the Four Noble Truths so much that you become your own judge.
Yeah, rigid. And when you're in a place of real, true, deep self-love, attachments naturally become far less attachy.
Yeah.
Because most people look for external things in their life to mirror back to them ways in which they are worthy and wanted and well. But when we already know these things, we don't need that. It's just there, and it's fun, and you can experience it for fun. It's like, it's not, it doesn't have to be.
You got any more hot questions? And we have time for maybe one more or so.
I don't have any more over here, I don't think. Do you have more over there, bro?
Don't check with the...
Are you on the Instagrizzle?
I am, sir.
Insta Dandy?
Let's see.
This person says, tell us about your spiritual history and how it's influenced your music. Yep, that's what we talk about. That's what we've been talking about all day.
Every day.
Okay, here's a good one.
Okay.
I mean, it's at least one. It's not the deepest of questions, but it's good for people to know. We talk about it a lot. Do you meditate? What's your favorite meditation? Yeah, I meditate. I like the Waking Up app by Sam Harris, the quote-unquote atheist we're just talking about. It's kind of a Vipassana, metta mixture of meditations. I like it because it's quick. I like it because I like his voice. It's very calming and soothing, and he's very intelligent, and he gives you the tools to become your own meditator, I'm a huge fan of that app. Skip.
Big up. I mean, I don't know. Find something that you like. Yeah. Meditation is literally, it's a very broad and general term, and there's a million things out there. There's a lot of meditations I like. I like, for me to get into the space to meditate, I like to sing and chant for a while, and then when I'm there, when I find it. If you do that enough, you'll find that you can get into the space. That just works for me. I like Vipassana. I recommend. I'm a big fan of the Vipassana 10-day because it'll kickstart your meditation practice.
10-day silent.
You can find them in your areas.
Retreat.
They're free, and you can go there. They feed you really good food, and they teach you how to meditate. But you're gonna have to do it for like 10 hours a day for 10 days in a row.
Fun.
Highly recommended. I like Wim Hof stuff too. Wim Hof's breathing exercises are fantastic. There's also
his name sounds like a breathing exercise.
The Blessing of the Energy Centers by Joe Dispenza. It's also a good one. There's tons of stuff out there. Just find something you like.
I'm gonna do one more question because this one's good. Okay, are you ready, bro?
Yep.
This one's Dylan Bardino Johnson. What's it like being such an inspiration to so many people? How do you stay humble?
Well,
seems like it comes pretty naturally.
I would say out of all of my best qualities, modesty is probably my best one.
You're really, really humble, dude. You're the most humble person I've ever met.
Thank you, bro. That means a lot. Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. That's a difficult question. I find and derive great joy from being alive and being a part of this movement of conscious music, and I feel blessed and humbled by it. So for me to do it is a gift, and so I don't even see it as helping or influencing. I see it as learning, because my learning is
and having fun.
It's having fun. It's learning. Learning is having fun, and so
if you're learning good.
For me.
Yeah.
And so like that's not even how I would say it. I really appreciate the reflection. It means a lot to me that you feel that way. But for me, I get just as much as anybody that you're speaking of. So
yeah. I think it's about the foundation. It's about the foundation that is built of the understanding of what it is you are doing. And a lot of people, watch some bands blow up from the start and they get a big head or whatever, or, whether you're a band or some sort of influencer or, some type of celebrity, it goes to your head, but it didn't happen for us overnight. It's taken years and years of us building the spiritual foundation under which the energetic of Indubious has developed. And this includes the very simple fact that we are not the creators. We are the facilitators. We are good at facilitating. We have chosen to become these conduits, and we are the ones who sit at the table of this helm and guide this ship for a lot of people. But this is a collective. It is not just us. All of the guides and the spirits and the elders and the ancients and the ancestors that are united with us to all move this ship together. We are not leaders. We are humble servants of the energy. And it has been the steady building of that vibrational reality that has no choice but to make you humble. Because it's not.
Yeah, thanks, bro.
It's not you. It's not me. But it is me. It's all me. But it's also not you. But it's also all you, the observer, Dylan, dude. Thank you for creating us through your perspective and holding us in such a vibration to where you are open to the knowledge and the wisdom that is channeling through our earthly vessels, bro. Truly. We could not do it without you.
Co-creation, brother.
It's all co-creation. It is just fun. It's not one man over another man. It's all rise together under these understandings of goodness and blessings and sovereignty and positivity and just good times for all beings, man.
Yeah, and I will say that for me, I try to adopt a indigenous viewpoint on what I'm doing. My interest in doing anything that I do in my life is not for fame. It's not for money. It's not for none of that stuff. Is my driving force. My driving force is to fulfill to break trauma in my bloodlines, to break it for future generations, and to think about it in the sense that this is kind of like the big game. This is kind of like the Super Bowl here on Earth. All of your ancestors are watching you because you got the ball right now and you're their favorite player. And then all the generations in front of you are watching you at the same time. And if you act from that space, you no longer think about just yourself. You think about what you're doing to influence and impact all of creation. And so that's my only goal with all of this, is to really wake up into that reality and perhaps help people awaken to that. But my appreciations and gratitude for the comment, brother, that means a lot to me.
That's hella juicy. So we're going to wrap her up, I think. And before we go, I want to talk about a few things. First off, you guys are supporting us by listening. Just by listening, you're supporting us. It's like,
thank you.
And also, other ways you can support is by sharing this with your family and friends and loved ones. Sharing a link to the podcast through Spotify or iTunes or whatever, Amazon. What is the other one we have? Google Play.
We're on a lot of them, and Audible and everything. Yeah. And please go to all these platforms and give an honest review. We'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, drop us a review. Leave us some comments and whatever. And just spread it out to your friends. That's how it all becomes the tidal wave, is little by little, one by one.
Yep.
We love you guys. Thank you for the support.
Love and gratitude.
We're gonna keep doing this because it's really fun.
Joys.
Blessings and love.
Glad to have an optimal theory for playing the game.
Whatever you focus upon becomes your truth.